Okay. Um, Hopefully everyone can hear me clearly. I'd like to thank you for introducing me. I'm glad to be here to be part of this peer group. Um, the on, I believe the wealth of community is people and their experiences, and I'm happy to share mine on behalf of the Michigan Department of Transportation. So before I begin sharing the screen here, what I'd like to say is I just want to thank our director, Director Paul Ajaba here at the Michigan Department of Transportation, as well as our CCEIO, which is Chief Culture, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, Ms. Terry Slaughter. So today, what I'd like to talk about is our TDRP program, Transportation Diversity Recruitment Program. Right? I'll begin sharing slides in a moment, but I wanted to lead with this. When you think about career, a lot of people think about what does equal opportunity look like? You know, you say, hey, we all have education, we all have access to common tools to move forward, and we all have the opportunity to fill out an application. Although those are commonly stated, I believe that to be untrue. I did a little research, and with the National Association of Colleges and Employers, you talk about a career. You know, I always tell students education gets you to the door, but experience gets you through the door. So most careers start with internships. After doing a little research, it identified that career disparities start with internship disparities. Just wanted to share a little bit about paid internships. Okay, based on the data from my source, 2019 student survey report, it identified that 74% of whites get paid internships. 8% of Hispanic and Latinos have the opportunity to work in paid internships, and 6% of African Americans had the opportunity. There's a great disparity, even starting with internships. So today, my hope and goal will be just to kind of share what we are doing in working in an innovative space through partnering with the companies, private and public, within our state of Michigan. Okay, so please bear with me as I share my screen. Okay. All right, so as I move forward, what you see here is our logo, which embraces, when this logo was designed, I just want to tell you a little bit, it says all in together. There's no way that we can be successful unless we collaborate. That means mending, binding, building partnerships with private, public, and community. So here you see the logo, all right? It's hands holding HBCU. HBCU is one of the, how would I say, this is one of the uncommon sources that houses a plethora of talent. But that hand represents just kind of as if when you have a baby, this is our baby, this is my baby, I've been assigned this, but holding that up, presenting it to the world. So as my title slide mentioned, that's my title slide mentions, we're building Michigan together. We partner with the American Council of Engineering Companies as our source to host opportunity. Right, so I'm just going on. Right, so just going to give you a little bit. There's multiple slides here, and I'll do my best to go right through them. I'm going to start off with a little history of how it began and kind of talk through the demand, what is our why, the impact, and call to action. So if you look at this slide, it's our house. We have a commitment in Michigan Department of Transportation is to build a house. Our mission, vision, and values are listed here. So take time to read through those. But in building our house, there's many things that are needed outside of the framing. I want you to keep in your mind what makes a house a home. So what makes a house a home without getting too formal? It's a pool. What does a pool do? It brings it brings people into your house. It encourages them to knock on your door so that they can relax and enjoy um, and become a part of your family for that moment. But in this case, I'm speaking of the talent pool. So what our goal is to get people into the talent pool, which I'm sure most of you on this call are hoping to figure out how you can do the same. So if you build it, they'll come. So what does it take when you talk about breaking ground, right? You talk about issues and events that led up to the greater awareness of people understanding the importance of diversity, but here we serve the public. When you work for a state or federal agency, your main task is safety and public service. So by identifying with the demographics in the spaces that you live and work in, having diverse talent will definitely help you accomplish that goal. And having the appropriate talent pool, as listed here, is equally important because there are some things that, based on what your living conditions and how you were brought up, what you're aware of, may be uncommon to you. And having a great mixture of people, not just by the shades of their skin, but their diverse talents and their abilities to provide support to those that they have things in common with. I often tell folks, my focus is on wanting to know what the color of your genius is, wanting to know what the color of your passion is. And for those that have explored that with creativity, I think that's where the rainbow is developed, right? And lastly, pride in our industry. Transportation, as you simplify it, is simply moving things from place to place. But in this case, we want to move people and their careers to a better place. So last year, we were fortunate enough to be featured in, in the publication, in the Transportation News, Transportation Research Board. Okay, they did a focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the transportation profession. And they highlighted MDOT among many others. And that just shows that making an impact is really busting the hinges through the door, busting the hinges off the door. And we do that by becoming real-time translators to understand what people are saying, what that their needs are in order to make this profession and this interest common among all. So this is a little bit about the history. Roughly 9 years ago, we started this program by partnering. We believe that education does break barriers, okay? Whether it's credentialing through college or whether it's earning certifications through skilled trades, it breaks barriers. So we partnered with one of our local universities, University of Michigan, which is commonly known as the leaders and the best for those that are alumni or alumna of that space. But Michigan is known for rich opportunity and education. So we were able to build a partnership with what they call the AUC. AUC is an acronym for Atlanta Universities Consortium. So it's a set of 3 HBCUs located in Atlanta, Georgia, which is Morehouse College, Clark Atlanta University, and Spelman College. So what we did is we worked with the University of Michigan and the AUC. The win-win was they have a dual degree program, which a student could complete their degree at the AUC as well as transfer to University of Michigan and obtain their master's and bachelor's within a 6-year program. So we were able to do that, which resulted in 3 of the 4 students not only working with us in that summer, but transferring to the University of Michigan and continuing to diversify their civil engineering program, which now all of them are graduates. But if you look through the timeline, I'll go to our last year, which we were able to host 59 interns. So in 2 years that were extremely challenging, where folks were not able to have in-person internships, we were able to increase pretty much double the numbers that we had ongoing. So again, our director is all about challenging us to accomplish achievable goals. So he tasked us with going for 65 interns. And currently this year, we had over 70 listed to come, but due to some attrition, we're currently at 65. So we were able to meet the mark. Right. So when you think about our program, if you see here, we just kind of revamped our website. If you're interested in looking at our website, you can either screenshot here or later on, I'll drop this link in the chat. But, you know, our commitment is focusing on developing the best talent. You know, it's important that not only do you provide an experience for the student, we meet these students and we understand that there are barriers. So in order to get them to focus on the task at hand, which is completing the work in the projects we have lined up, we want to assist them with making sure they have somewhere to live, making sure they're able to get back and forth to work, and also some of the common needs that any human may have. Right, so our program, this year we expanded to a 13-week program because as much as we want to help students, we also want to make sure that we meet our needs, our industry needs. Projects here in Michigan, we know we only have a short window of time where there's weather that folks can actually get some work done. So we needed to expand from 10 weeks to 13 weeks. So the program started May 15th and we intended to end on August 12th. All right, so you look at how do you scale an opportunity? You really have to present it and be able to make sure that it adds value to one's life. These students add value to us in many different ways. It helps encourage our workforce to embrace intellectual differences, to be comfortable with working with diverse groups of people, diverse genders, so on and so forth. But it also helps us respect our public and respect the private sector as well. So we partner with ACEC, and there's roughly about 12 to 14 different private firms that have embraced our values and provide work experiences. So now these students get a taste of both worlds, working in the private sector or working in the public sector, but seeing how full circle everything works together. So again, we talk about planting a seed, pay rates. I have some information here. You know, I intentionally didn't want to come with a bunch of data points, but it's important to have paid internships. As much as I talked about 6% of African Americans and 8% of Hispanic and Latinos having paid internships, when you talk about unpaid, there's 10% and 10% Hispanic and Latino and 7.3% African American. In order to move forward, when you talk about the lens of equity, it really starts with baseline economics. People need to make money. So we pay a fair wage based on being a state government. The challenge is, I'll be open, in the private sector, we put together a formula that says, hey, we give them, our selling point is work-life balance. So they get the paid holidays off, they get training dates and things like that. And the private sector doesn't offer that. So we worked a formula that allows the students that work in the private sector to earn a little more money because they don't get the paid holidays and 401k and things like that. But it was a good match where students were able to understand the importance of work-life balance and best value as it relates to pay rates. So housing, if you look at Maslow's hierarchy, you talk about housing, transportation, the basic needs people need to sustain their lifestyle. We are able, through working with the Federal Highway Administration, to administer these services that will allow them to engage in the work training and mentoring that we have. Right, so what is our goal? I'm quite sure your goals here are to recruit, engage, and retain talent. The picture you're looking at, we just started our program this past week. Last week, we hosted we call it a meet and greet. So we had students fly in from across the country. I had folks from California, folks from Louisiana, Texas, just across the whole country. And they all came together at the Renaissance Center, and our partners helped sponsor the event. They met the students here. We had dinner and talked about what their goals were for the summer. And I thought that was a successful event. So in order to recruit, engage, and retain, you got to make people feel like you really they understand your value proposition, and that they know that they're welcome here. Because people, what do they say? People may forget what you said or did, but they never forget the way you made them feel. So skill building, when you build out your blueprint for success in your programs, you got to understand, we yearn for knowledge. We're human beings. So preparing these students for other folks to be able to hire them or recruit them, knowing that their intellectual DNA has begun with Michigan Department of Transportation. As much as we would like to hire the 65 folks that we've recruited, we're not able to do that. So we take pride in preparing students for the industry at whole, with the hope that somewhere within the trajectory of their career, they may consider being employed here or working toward a middle management to E-suite position as they gain the skills and licensure that they need to be successful. Outside of that, we also partner with an organization called COMTO, and it is the Commission of Minority Transportation Officials. Okay, this is a group that collectively is similar to ACEC. Excuse me, it's the conference, not commission. I'm saying Conference of Minority Transportation Officials. But in this space, we provide what we call connection captains. Making that connection is important to keep people's mind open and their hearts open to being not so much lured, but engaged, recruited to our space here in Michigan. So what they do is they meet with the students, go over professional goals, share the wealth of our pure Michigan and places to see and places to be throughout our state. And this is a trifecta when you talk about MDOT, ACEC, and COMTO. So that's one way that we explore skill building, networking, and opportunities. So what do we want? Bright futures in transportation. I know a lot of times we go out to a college or just kind of to different spaces that we use online to recruit. But if you build and develop an interest in these fields and help students explore and find a focus, and reason why I say find the focus, that's why I use that keyhole, you know, amidst everything that's going on, when you focus through the keyhole, the key gives you access, and we're trying to give them access to a bright future. Right. So as I begin to finish up this presentation, I want you to be aware that through your investment in sowing a seed of knowledge, a seed of interest that you can gain impact. Most of these folks want to be grown, they want to be developed. And if you provide the resources for them to be able to focus on what they're doing, so they could overcome whatever challenges that life has presented to them based on their economic disparity or background, you will always be in a place in their hearts, in their minds, and they will definitely consider coming back to your organization. So I just want to thank you all for taking the time to hear me out through this presentation. And in the event you really want to take a look at what we have to offer, this is our webpage. It's www.michigan.gov/mdot/careers/TDRP. So with that being said, I'm leaving my email, and I would love to answer any questions that one may have as you go forward. So thanks for your time.
James, thank you so much. The work of Michigan DOT certainly embodies a lot of passion. It demonstrates collaboration, partnerships. And one thing I took away from your presentation was making people feel valued. I think you presented it very well. So thank you for your nice presentation and a great program that you all have. We will open up for any questions or any comments anybody has for James. Please feel free to put your questions in the chat box. Yeah, you should be able to unmute yourself if you like. Yeah. Thank you, Adam. All right. Thank you, James, and thank you, Michigan DOT. So Tom has a question here for James. The partnership with COMTO is a great idea. Are they working with other states? James, would you like to respond to that?
Yes. So again, we are currently, we're the only DOT that's engaging in recruitment through internships in this manner. So currently it's just the Michigan, the Michigan COMTO. However, COMTO National is aware of that, and they are hopeful that other DOTs and other private firms would reach out to them. They would be happy to facilitate those partnerships. I'll drop COMTO's website in the chat for those that may be interested.
Any other questions or comments? for James?
Yeah, I do. I was looking for my hand to raise, but I can't find it. James, I appreciate your presentation, your program. I mean, I know you're linked in with the Atlanta HBCUs. That's probably interesting how you connected up with Atlanta, which is not next door. Georgia is not next door to Michigan. But I was wondering if, as far as underserved populations, if you're looking for anything with tribal schools or tribal populations or other.
I'm glad you brought that up. There are data points that identify numbers for the tribal population, which I don't want to misquote, but I believe it was 0.36 when you talk about engineering. The tribal populations are currently 0.36. The African-American population is 4.6. Latino population is, I think, 11.4. The Asian community is 18, I think it's 18.2%. So we have to start where we can actually gain some traction. We have forecasted, time to write out scopes that will be all inclusive. At the bottom line, you can't start everywhere. You have to start somewhere where you can build the foundation. It's just like building a vertical structure, right? If the foundation if you don't hit bedrock while building the foundation, I don't care how beautiful it looks, it'll all fall down. So to answer your question in short, yes. However, we're scaling this program, which was a pilot up until last year. Even though we were working on it slowly, we got full commitment from our leadership to commit the resources to move forward. But we are actively looking at how we can also engage other demographics.
Thank you, James. There is a comment and a question from Aaron. He comments you on the great job. And then he says that MDOT has hired former TDRP student full-time. Can you confirm?
Yes, I'd like to confirm that. Truthfully, I was kind of racing the clock because I know we had 30 minutes, but the success, right? So currently, we have multiple programs here. We have a capstone internship. We have an EDP program. Now, the capstone internship supports any students who have engaged at least 1 year in one of our internship programs, which gives them a centralized focus on the variety within transportation. However, we have an EDP program, which is our engineer development program. We were able to onboard this past year a student out of the cohort, which is a full-time student EDP program. She was an intern with us for 3 years and moved on to employment. However, in the private sector, we have more than 5 students across the state that companies have hired, which have those students have migrated to Michigan to start their professional careers. We've had, I believe, 3 students in total that worked within the TDRP program and now have moved on to become full-time employees with MDOT as well. So we're trending upward. However, we currently, the private sector has been every year taking at least 2 employees. We've offered many students, but trying to get people to move from a warmer climate to a area with 4 seasons has been a challenge, but we have had success. Thank you.